So this video is going to be covering how you sell to the 7 deadly sins. And another small thing is selling to psychological wants in advertising, not needs, because there's a whole different. So first off, let's go into the psychological wants so that you can understand what is important and what is not important when it comes to selling your offer, service, or products, right? So you see this chart right here. Everyone tells you about this chart, and this is Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Needs, right? These are things that all humans feel like they need in each level of the hierarchy. To me, this chart is useless because these are things people need, right? But when you actually start selling things, you begin to realize something. People don't really care about needs. They care more about wants. What a person wants is more important than what a person needs. And the faster that you figure that out, the faster that you'll be able to sell things better, right? The faster that your copy will convert a lot better. So when you stop and think about it for a second, it makes sense because you can look at the tobacco industry. It's a multi-billion, probably a multi-trillion-dollar industry. And cigarette smokers actively choose to inhale toxins and slowly kill themselves because that's what they want to do. No one forced them to start smoking. It was a want, not a need, until it became a need through addiction, which is a whole other conversation for another video because you can install habits and addictions into your offers. Different thing, right? And so when it comes to needs and wants, right, you have this chart and everyone knows what they want, need. But now let's go into like the list of wants. And so this comes from the Direct Marketing Playbook by Edward E. Nash. It's a crazy OG direct response book, and I've just been diving deep into it, and I felt like I need to make this video for it. And so he lists out all the wants that humans have, and this chart can be probably a dozen more added, and I'll let you go through this at the end of this video. I'll be giving you this link so you can just go through this entire doc. But a lot of the wants people have, like love of children, love of parents, sex, ambition, pleasure, comfort, approval of others, like those technically aren't needs. Those are just deep wants and deep desires, right? And so when you start thinking of how can I sell what people want instead of what they need, it's going to just have a shift in like your copywriting, your advertising, your marketing, like as a whole, because then you'll be able to attract them and dangle the carrot in front of their face of this is what you want, come get it. And then when they purchase it, you can give them what they need, right? So that's all I want to go over when it comes to just the wants, because I feel like it's a very important thing for you to know. But now let's get into the 7 deadly sins, and this is what's going to take your shit to the next level. And like after you get to the end of this video and you go through all the sins and how I break them down to you, you're going to start looking at advertising a little differently, because this is what separates good from great. This is where the gap starts to widen, right? And so I'm not going to waste any more time, and we're going to jump straight into it. So let's get started with number one. Number one, the sin of sloth, aka laziness. Whenever you're selling a sin, you're selling laziness in a bottle. And if we're being honest, 99% of humans are lazy. Our brains want to conserve as much energy as possible. So if your offer or product can help people achieve whatever they want with little work, you got a banger in your hands. You're going to be rich, right? The reason why weight loss pills and Ozempic is making so much money, laziness. You don't have to work out. You don't have to change your diet. You just jab yourself, you're skinny, right? But let's get more technical, because I hate giving broad examples to you. I feel like broad examples are overused online. So I want to give you like really good technical knowledge so that when you walk away from this, you watch my next video. You know what I mean? So here are 2 ways that you can use sloth to help you sell better. Number one is making it as easy as possible for people to act. This means a simpler buying process, limited choices, a streamlined process, not having a trillion upsell bumps and order bumps, because the human mind hates thinking. And so every time that you make a person make a decision, their brain gets a little tired. And so it's like, all right, I think of the offer. I think if I want to purchase this, I got to think if it's worth it. I have to calculate. It's like, that's too much. You want to make it as simple as possible for people to act and give you money. The simpler your process is for people to exchange money with you, the simpler, like the richer you'll be, to be honest, right? And that also goes for explaining your product. Try to make it as simple as possible. Your copy should be written to a 6th grade reading level at all times. Now, another way, a little bit more black hat and darker way to use sloth is to give a negative option. Now, you've probably seen this before. You've seen this on the supplement offer, subscription offers. If you don't like it, just send it back to us and we'll give you a full refund. Here's the thing. You and I both know this. No one is going to send it back because they're too lazy to do it. This is how most subscriptions work. And so whenever you're selling sloth, right, just as a recap, you want to show people that if they buy your product, it makes their life easier. They do less work. It's effortless. It seems like they get something for nothing, and make it as simple and easy as possible for people to take an action that you want them to take, and make working hard the opposite. Like make it to where if they work hard, they do the wrong thing, which is the negative option. Now we got to number 2, which is envy. All right, so envy. This image right here is written by John Caples. He's one of the greatest OG marketers, copywriters ever. And so you see this headline, they laugh, and I sat down at the piano. But when I started to play, boom. This whole ad is an envy angle, because this entire ad is an envy angle, but it's selling it silently. You're never going to just tell someone that they're envious or something, right? And so right here in this part of the ad, it talks about how people were coming towards him. He was surrounded by in a room. The entire room was paying attention to him, and he was basically the coolest person there because he knew how to play the piano. And so what it's selling is the envy of, if you haven't been able to get this reaction at parties and events, then you're jealous of me. You want to be me, right? You want to be that person because people want that. And people wouldn't be reading this long if they didn't want to be that center of attention, right? So they don't really care about learning the piano, right? That's what this ad is. It's teaching you how to learn. It's like a piano learning course. They don't care about learning how to play the piano as much as they care about not having the ability to be the center of attention, right? They care about not having that ability. They care about not being able to do that, even if they wanted to. And so you can see this being done with most grifters online. They show the life that most people don't have, and it makes their audience envious, which is why they purchase their products to get it. Or they show you testimonials of people who aren't as smart as you, but they've gotten better results than you. It stirs the pot, right? They're slowly stirring your emotions to make you feel something so that you take an action, which is purchase their offer, a coaching course, whatever. And it gets them to take action because people would rather become the envied than be envious. That's again, because that's a bar. People would rather become the envied than be envious. They want people to hate on them, quote unquote, or to be envious of them. So that is the psychological bridge that you want to build, taking someone from envious to envied. That's how. And you show it, you never tell it, because then it makes people think, and it's like, oh, well, I'm not jealous of them. No, they become defensive. You want to show it and tell it in a story if you can, or just show it in images, pictures, or like the VSL setup and background. There's so many different ways you can show this. And so if you want to use envy as your primary selling emotion and get sales with this, try setting up and showing an identity that they'd want to become, but they clearly are not that identity yet. All right, so for the dating niche, for example, that could be the playboy handsome guy who gets any girl he walks up to. There's deep envy there. They want to become that guy. And so the bridge from being envious to envied is your product. That's the bridge, right? We got pride. Pride can be extremely powerful when used right. But the thing is, pride has so many uses and use cases. Like, it's very adaptable. For example, pride can be doing something well. Pride can be belonging to a cool group. Pride can be being better at something than someone else is in competitiveness. And pride can just be some of the possessions that you have. These all go into the emotion that we call pride. Personally, I like to use pride, and my best examples of pride are luxury items. Think about it. These watches right here, right? See these? There's no benefit to your life for buying this, technically, right? They don't do anything for you. They make you look cool. They might start a conversation, but realistically, it's ego. This is stroking the person's ego when they purchase a Rolex, Rolls Royce, high-rise apartment, etc. The similarity between all of these is that these are all pride and status symbols. If you want to sell pride, think of how your product can be shown off publicly. Think of the ClickFunnels 2 Comma Club Awards, or whatever you can to, like Apple, the MacBook, and the Apple logo. People have pride and envy of pride of just being part of Apple and being an Apple user, right? And so the biggest thing with this is, how can you make other people look good for purchasing whatever you're selling, right? And so whenever you're using this emotion, always think, how does my product, offer, service, etc. When using this emotion and selling it, always think, how does my product, service, or offer make the purchaser look good to others? Because you cannot have pride without an audience. I want to show my neighbors I got a better car. I want to show my family that I'm a success. So I went to college, this is why I did this, right? These are the things. And so, just for an example, because I know that I'll have a lot of marketers and people who are doing business stuff here. If it's like a B2B software, for example, right? Instead of thinking of all the features and benefits of how you're going to help this company, that's cool. But think deeper on the emotional level, because a lot of deals can get stopped because a person just won't look good from showing their superiors your software. So think of, how will my product help the person who gives it the green light internally look good and get a promotion, get paid more, get, whatever that is for their pride. And so there's a lot of ways that you can do this. You just gotta get creative with the messaging and kind of just show it. That can be through testimonials. There's a lot of different ways you can show things and show different emotions and sell them. And so if you want to go towards the pride angle, just keep these thoughts in mind. And again, at the end of this video, you can click the button below and you can have access to this entire document. Then we got sins number 4 and 5. I kind of put these together because they're very similar, which is going to be gluttony and greed. And my question to you is having too much ever enough? For most people, nah, right? Everyone feels like they can always get more. Since most first world countries have helped solve the basic human needs, people tend to buy based on wants, like we talked about earlier. And so they also buy wants with very little self-control. And this is where overindulgence comes in, and this is where greed comes in. Gluttony, greed. Like, you see the people who are obese, that means they overindulge in fatty, good tasting foods. Or you see the people who are overindulge in video games, playing for 18, 20 hours a day. Playing for 18, 20 hours a day. Or the people who can't stop sports betting and gambling. Or the entrepreneur who can't get out the game. These are all parts of this, right? So to sell this, and to sell these emotions, right, for greed and gluttony, you want to show the big wins, big revenue screenshots, the racks richest stories. You want to show people enjoying themselves, right? You want to see like people eating the food. They want to have the happy faces, right? We don't want any shame here. You should, for this emotion to sell, you enable the behavior, sort of, right? You do not want them to feel guilty or shameful for trying or wanting or desiring to have more or have it all, right? So instead, you make them feel like they deserve to have it, right? Honestly, to make it simpler, you make them feel like it's wrong that they don't have what they want. They don't have more. They're not winning. They can't enjoy it. They get those dirty looks in the restaurant, right? You make it wrong. You make it seem like everyone else is wrong and they're right, right? And if you really want to psychologically sell this, you can implant us versus them language into your copy to put it into the subconscious mind. So, for example, this is something I just cooked up for if I was selling a sports betting offer, right? And it's like, you can say, but the people around you don't understand. They don't get that last week you were literally 2 points off from hitting a $53,000 parlay that would have changed everything. If only the Chiefs would have made that field goal. But what if I told you you could, blah, 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 right? Because the people around them don't understand. They don't understand that I could have made $53,000 if I just got like 1 point. Right? That's the gambler's fallacy. And you enable it by putting it into their heads that it's okay that you do that. You're just doing it a little bit wrong, and my product or my offer is really going to give you the thing that you're missing and help. It's a little dark, but if you're gonna sell it, you're gonna sell it. Right? This is a tool to be used to sell things that you believe are right. Right? A hammer can be used as a weapon or used as a tool to build a house. It depends on how you use it. Hopefully you use it the right way. Right? And so best industries to sell this and sell gluttony and greed are like consumables, gambling, make money, collectibles, etc. Right? And so for greed, you want to lean hard into limited quantities or just what you can acquire after you have it. Like, people are greedy for things that are in shorter quantities. And then for gluttony, you want to lead hard into dopamine, getting something for nothing, and people enjoying themselves / having a good time in your imagery and your symbolism and in your copy. You can get creative with this, like whenever and however you want. This is just food for thought on how you can sell the emotion and like the basics and fundamentals. Right? Now we got sin number 6, which is lust. A lot of people use this wrong, right? So rule number 1, before we talk about any ways for you to sell lust, yes, lust and like beauty and sex sells and it can grab attention. But sometimes that attention doesn't convert because the lust that's being shown has nothing to do with what's being sold. There's no congruence, and so it grabs attention, but people do not buy. So don't do that. If you're going to sell lust, make sure that it's congruent with the message and the offer and the product that you're selling. Because at the end of the day, as advertisers, we're not here to be creative. We're here to make money. We are salesmen. We are not doing shit for fun. So don't do that. Now, lust is used primarily for men, but you can do this for women too. The reason being it's used more for men is that the male brain is hardwired for visuals. So if you just show a pretty woman, you get attention and probably some sales. For example, the Dr. Squatch Sydney Sweeney collab. Look at this. Look at this. What is it showing you? Right? She has coconuts. Come on now. And it has 6 million views in 4 months. And they've done multiple videos with her. I mean, they're selling nothing but lust to their purely male audience. And as you can see, it's getting attention, lots of sales, but it needs to be used in a creative way. And so they always bring it back to selling their product. And they make sure that in these videos, when you watch them, you can still see that they're giving you like the benefits and features of their product a little bit. But it's just who's saying it, and it's grabbing a lot of attention. And so if you're going to sell lust, make sure you understand how both genders work and what they're attracted to. What is lust to both genders? Because men and women are attracted to 2 different things. So for men, it's really simple. You show a beautiful woman, show as much skin as possible. Boom, right? Skin, woman, easy, right? Now for women, it's a little different. You need to tell and show a story. Women have 11 times the amount of connections in their brain for language processing and communication than men do, which is why women read erotic novels and don't watch, you know what I mean? So to sell it to women, sell less to women, you're going to make her the center of attention and special. Then you show her getting the guy or getting the thing that everyone else wants. And the reason being is because she's special, right? And so you don't want to be overt when selling lust to women. You want to be subtle, very below the surface, right? You want to allow her to connect the dots. You want to add mystery and intrigue, and you never let her get the entire story until it's time to buy, right? And so the biggest thing with women and selling lust to them is just like getting the thing that everyone else wants but they can't have. That's like the thing, like if you look at it, this has been shown throughout history. Adam and Eve and the forbidden fruit, who bit the apple first? Exactly. So then we finally have sin number 7, anger and wrath. And I like anger, honestly. For example, look at one of the Agora sales letters below that's in my swipe file. Greenspan is robbing you blind. Dear furious investor. Right? This entire sales letter is pissing the person off to end up buying whatever guru's newsletter. Right? And so this is installing anger into the reader's mind. You see this a lot with the news when you pay attention to how they you see this a lot with the news when you pay attention to how they evoke emotions and what they put on their news platforms. So next time you have any free time, go to CNN or New York Times and just browse their website and see like what emotions are they bombarding you with. Usually it's anger and outrage because people will do unthinkable things when they're angry, and it's a very good motivator. So think revolutions, protests, wars. All of those have been started from a few pissed off people. Anger is extremely powerful. So when using this, you need to find something or someone to make your audience angry with. Find out who they blame, find out who pissed them off, who did them wrong, etc., etc. There's always somebody to blame. There's always a scapegoat. And what you want to do is you want to dig in and twist that anger deeper and deeper and build it up to they're like hot in the face. And you do this by giving them more facts and proof that whoever the villain is doing them wrong, and it's even worse than what they thought. And then after that, when you get into that point of, well, I want to do something about this. What should we do, right? You know, that's like when the crowd on the movie, they get all angry. What should we do? We should go riot, right? That's the person giving them the solution. Your product is now that solution. And then you offer your product and services at the end when you've pissed them off enough. And you finally lead their thoughts looking for the solution to do something about whatever they're angry with. And that is how you're going to sell anger. And you can do it and usually anger is really good for the health niche because you can do big pharma, whatever. You can do it for making money, making piss off at other gurus. You can do this for relationships with honestly, like the relationship angle of society, like for men, society is hurting you. And like for both genders, actually, you can do that for both. So yeah, that's the end of this video. I'm gonna drop some of the links to the YouTube videos that I have in here. And if you just click below, you can get access to this, and I will see you on the next one.